Secrets from across the state in our special reports on hidden Tennessee.
Centuries before Europeans settled in America, a native community thrived in Wilson County. The land at Sellers Farm is untouched and preserved, helping paint a picture of what Tennessee once looked like. Alex Dennis shows us these amazing discoveries made there in 1939, including one that became the official state artifact.
Lebanon native Phil Hodge is a state archaeologist whose life work is spent uncovering, preserving, and understanding the natives who came before. Leading us down a gravel path lined by shade trees at Sellers Farm State Archaeological Area.
It's a passage.
Hodge guides us to 10 acres of undeveloped land nestled along a horseshoe bend of Spring Creek.
It's a place where you can experience, to some degree, what it was like 1,000 years ago, and had, full of art and life and music and energy.
Then came an untimely end.
There's some debate about what happened to them.
Hodge explains.
When the Europeans got here in the 1500s, there was nobody living in Middle Tennessee. All these places like Sellers were abandoned.
The reason, still speculation, but widely accepted.
We think that there was a mega drought that started in between AD 1000 or 1100 and about 1400. And by mega drought, I mean a drought that lasted decades.
Now, that drought wouldn't have happened overnight. As their resources began to dwindle, the Native Americans that lived here constructed a log wall that could have been seen right here on these smaller mounds to protect not only themselves, but their resources.
So you had famine, and famine led to warfare and bad health, and so we feel like that everything just collapsed.
The 20th century would uncover some of what remained of the village, buried for roughly 500 years. 4 statues.
The one statue from Sellers is probably the finest example of Native American art produced in North America.
Hodge referring to what is now the state artifact of Tennessee. This man, made of sandstone, sitting 18 inches tall.
If you look closely at it, you can see that there's banding along the eyes, so they're probably tattooed. And if you turn the statue around, you see braids in the back of the head. You flip it upside down, you see the feet folded underneath it.
Its meaning honors a forebear of the Native Americans who dwelled on Sellers and bears a connection to all of us as a link to ancient Tennesseans who also called this state home. Alex Dennis, News 2.
That state artifact of Tennessee is permanently displayed at the University of Tennessee in Knoxville.
I really do love this overcastish weather, or maybe overcasty. This overcast kind of weather, clouds in the sky, it's peaceful, it's calm, not too hot, not too cold. But anyway, guys, we're not here to talk about the weather. We are here to talk about Native American Heritage Month. Yes, this is a continuation of my series talking about the Mississippian people, the Paleo Indians, the present day Cherokee and Creek Indians, what have you, the people who were here before white settlement. But anyway, you guys, we are out here near Lebanon, Tennessee, and we are here at the Sellers Archaeological Site. Now, the Sellers Archaeological Site is very similar to the Fuchs Mounds. This was an ancient Indian town many, many years ago. They believe the town was founded sometime around 1000 CE, which, if you put it, about 3,000 years ago. And they believe it was inhabited for about 300 years before the town was abandoned. I'm assuming it's probably similar to the Etowah Mounds. But anyway, you guys, there is something very special about this area and this site. While it might be an ancient Indian town, a Mississippian town, here at this location, several sandstone figures were found. One of these sandstone figures stood about 18 to 20 inches tall, and it is, well, kindly referred to as Sandy. Now, Sandy, the statue has been featured on a United States federal stamp, and it is also Tennessee's state Native American artifact. In fact, here's the kiosk that tells a little bit more about it. Here is a picture of Sandy, Sellers Farm State Archaeological Site, one of the best preserved Native American villages in the southeast. This site is known today as the Sellers Farm State Archaeological Area. This settlement was occupied from about 1000 AD to about 1300 AD. So it wasn't 3000 years, my apology, it was about 1500 years, well, about 1000 years ago to 700 years ago. The village was in a bend of Spring Creek, a tributary of the Cumberland River. The creek provided a natural defense against enemies, also produced food such as fish, freshwater mussel, and shells were crushed and used as timber and pottery. Anyway, this talks a little bit more, and that is Sandy. Let's walk on the other end of this kiosk. That talks a little bit more about the Mississippian village that's here. Dominating the western side of the plaza, a flat-topped mound was the location of an important structure, either the ruler's dwelling or the religious structure. The mound is 15 feet high, 138 by 120 at the base, so about 138 by 120 feet at the base and 95 by 75 feet at the top. When a trench was excavated by Frederick W. Putnam in the Harvard Museum in 1877, he discovered that it was built in 3 phases with ash covering the 2 lower ones. So this shows a little bit more about how this mound that's out here. There is a mound out in this area, and we will be checking it out today. Mississippian period Cumberland Village site. Native Americans playing chunky stone. I believe that's the Mississippian people. And here is here's a bit more of a map that kind of tells a little bit more about it. And here are other pictures of what these sites look like. So anyway, guys, we're gonna get to it. We're gonna check this area out. Now, this is a fun fact. The Sandy figurine, you would think maybe it would be somewhere here in a museum in Lebanon, but actually it's a little bit closer to my area where it's on display now. You see, it is on display at the McClung Museum in Knoxville. And actually there is a sister figure to this as well that I believe was found at this site as well. So after we check out this mound in this area, you guys, we're gonna make the drive to Knoxville, and we're going to check out Sandy and the sister statue, maybe brother statue, I'm not too sure. And since we're on the topic of Native American stuff and whatnot, here is a paleo, well, tree species. Paleo tree species. Why I say paleo is these particular plants right here, which is like a ball of spores, hardened spores. You see, if you look up at the trees right here, they have very thorned edges. And now in prehistory times, that was an evolutionary adaptation to keep things like ground sloths and mammoths and mastodons and whatnot from eating the plants, or I should say the fruits. But the more you know. I think I've talked about it before. Now, aside from the Native American stuff, I really like how this park has done things. It's a pretty nice grassland, although I don't know, I'll say it is a beautiful area. And it looks like we've come to the first thing, or at least by what I'm guessing that 5 is. I'm believing that this is probably one of the mounds. How it rises ever so slightly out of the earth. And the biggest one that they have here is about 15 feet. Not as big as the ones we've seen at the Fuchs Mounds or the Etowah Mounds. But still, let's keep going. And speaking of that small one, we have arrived to the big one. I mean, it is a decent size. It's about 15 feet tall. It's still large nonetheless. And it says no climbing on archaeological features, all park rules and regulations enforced. So maybe that's why they let it overgrow like that. At least I'm guessing anyway. Still a giant mound. It looks like right there is, I would say it looks like some kind of marker, but no, it's a tree stump. I wonder how far it goes. It did say that it was about 130 feet around, or 126 to around 130 feet in diameter. This looks like a giant hill. But really, it's not a giant hill. A lot of work was put into that about 300-400 years ago. Well, yeah, anywhere between 700 and 1,000 years ago. And here is a larger opening of it, which I'm guessing is what everybody is probably familiar with. I'm not so much familiar, but still, this is really epic to still see one of these things. Even though it's not as big as the Fuchs or Etowah, it's still a pretty large mound. And I really like how they really left it an open field with the mound right over there. That is pretty cool. But our time is coming soon, so we got to keep moving. You know, I almost kind of wonder if these lumps right here are more mounds. I'm kind of thinking that's probably the case, just because they rise up out of the ground the way that they do. You got that one right there, and you got that one right over there by that power line. I don't think that's a cluster of plant or trees and whatnot, but it does make me think that that's maybe some more mounds that probably the park has done on purpose by letting some of the overgrowth take in. That way people, you know, don't walk all over them or damage them or anything. But we're gonna get in the car now, and we're gonna make a visit to Sandy. So let's do it. Let's make the drive. It has been a while since I have been here. The last time I was here was probably about 2 summers ago, and I did pass the statues, unfortunately, but that was last year. But anyway, you guys, now that we're here at the McClung, what am I trying to say, you guys? Now that we are here at the McClung Museum, let's check out Sandy. Just beyond these gates and through here. And as we're looking for it, here are some examples. These statues were found in Davidson County, much smaller than the other statues that we're about to see, but looks like these date all the way back to about 1261 AD. So about, for the better part of about 800-900 years. Well, they didn't have it. Or I should say them. There is Sandy and another statue there at the museum that are together in a case. It says it online, says it on multiple sites, but it's not there. Which I asked the secretary and the security guard at the front desk, which it kind of scares me in some way. I I asked the lady that was there, and she said that she didn't even know what I was talking about. I had to reiterate some more about this Tennessee State artifact that is Sandy. And she's like, oh, yeah, that. No, I don't know where it went. In her exact words. The tonality, it felt rather that she was acting like I was crazy, which I really hate that. I hate when people, they talk to you and they think you're crazy. I don't know, it's annoying. Also, the security guard that was there at McClung Museum, he didn't know what I was talking about until I clarified, and he's like, oh yeah, I don't know where that's at. But again, he had a very rude tonality to it. And I guess maybe that's why, I understand it's a smaller museum, a smaller college museum, but I guess really it perturbs me that they don't even know that those artifacts that were there in the lobby are Tennessee State artifacts, like across the entire state. Well, but then again, it is a smaller college museum. Probably it's not as well funded as it should be. I know Tennessee is a little more focused on football, even though the Vols, well, UT is my alma mater, but there's reasons why I don't claim UT. But it is what it is. I'm sorry that I wasn't able to show you guys Sandy and this other artifact. They're incredible pieces of art, history. They stand about 18 inches tall, each one of them. And it's kind of interesting how they were both united. I think the other one was in a truck stop, I think, but it's been a while. But anyway, guys, at least I got to show you all some of the small figurines. I did get to do that. But anyway, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon. Always means a lot. Goes to show that y'all care and that y'all want to see more awesome videos. So without further ado, you guys, this vlog is over.